Hi, so we move to section the 2b. So in the previous section that we studied the time diagram, so that we identified the amount, but sometimes the another quantity is unknown. So one case is interest rate is unknown, and the another case is the time is unknown, time point is unknown. So we think about the one example each for these two cases. So first, unknown interest rate. Okay, so example one. So suppose that we have a time diagram, not very simple one. For example, that we have the 4 time points. The t is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3. This is year. And that we have $100 deposit at time 0, and the $30 payments at time 1, $40 at time 2, and $50 at time 3. So the deposit is $100 and the payment is $120 in total. And roughly speaking, maybe on average, the amount is in the account for 2 years. What is I? Annual effective interest. 100 becomes 120 roughly in 2 years, so about 10%. So, but to get the accurate number, you have to solve the 100 is equal to, okay, so this 30 is worth the 30V at time 0, 40 is worth 40V square, right? So V becomes 1 after a year. So V square becomes V and V becomes 1 after 2 years. So 100 is equal to the 30V plus 40V square plus 50V cube. So we have to solve this for V. So if you use a computer, that you can get the V is equal to something. Actually, the V is equal to 0.91828. I use the R language, so the computer language, to solve this. Then we get I. So I is equal to 1 minus V over V. Yeah, you can see that the V is equal to 1 over 1 plus I. So that means the 1 plus I, V is equal to 1. So I is equal to what? That we move V here, 1 minus V, then we divide by V. So I is equal to 1 minus V over V. So this becomes 0.08899. So you can say this is about 8.9%. Okay. But we have to use a computer. We have to use a computer. So here, so we cannot solve it by hand. So if you don't have a computer, you have to use the BA2 Plus during the exam or during the quiz, or anyway, whenever you don't have a computer. So how to calculate it? Again, we use the time value of money function, but it's a little bit more complicated because these amounts, 30, 40, 50s, are different. Yeah. So at first, we use the CF. So this is, okay, so the amounts are different. So we use the cash flow function. So in the BA2 Plus, at first, the type cash flow. So cash flow function, yes, the cash flow function. And we want to delete the previous input and output. So we type the second. Second is just the most left, and the second from the upper left, and the second line. And the second, then the to clear, we type just the clear button CEC. So this is clear work. So this is clear work. Just at the bottom on the most left-hand side. So left, the bottom left button. Then we have to input this $100. So you type 100. So now that you are the calculator is showing CF0, cash flow at time 0. So you input 100. And again, the all cash flow are cash inflow, so we have to put negative sign. So you type the plus minus button at the bottom to make the cash flow as negative 100. Then, so this time that you have to type enter button. So you can say 100 minus, then you type enter button. Enter is at the top, the second one from the left. Yeah, then the down arrow is also the top key, the second one from the right. Then you see C01. C01 is cash flow at time 1. And you can input the 30 here because we have $30 payment. And this time positive, but we have to put enter. So 30 enter. Then you have to the down arrow. Then down arrow, then you can see F01, F01, okay, F01. F01 is the number of frequencies. So if we have the 3 payments of $30, you have to put the 3 in F01. But here we only have 1 payment and 1 is default. So just we can ignore it. So we go down again. So just we keep F01 is equal to 1. Then you will see the C02 cash flow for the second one. And you type 40 because we have $40 payment and enter, then go down arrow. Then you will see again the F02 in the screen, on the screen. So again, we only have 1 payment of 40, so we ignore it. If we have 4 payments of 40, you can type 2, enter, then down arrow. But here we can just ignore. Then you will see the C03. Then you type 50, then enter, 50, enter. Yeah, so now that we enter all information, so we want to calculate the interest rate. That is called internal rate of return. So this is internal rate of return key. Then calculate the implied interest rate I. So after you type IRR, I don't know, maybe you have to type the compute, or maybe you don't really have to type it, but anyway, after that, you can get on screen, there's 8.896 in my case. Maybe it's depending on rounding, but the 8.896%. Yeah, so in this way that we can use the BA2 plus to calculate it. So you cannot solve this mathematically. So this is the quadratic equation. Maybe if we have one more cash flow, that is the quadratic equation. So you cannot solve it analytically. So you have to use BA2 plus.